Hello, listeners. As an enhancement to your listening experience, I am now going to present these archive episodes unedited in their entirety, which includes all of my afterthoughts. So, continue listening after the outro music if you want to hear what I thought of the episode. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please support it by going to the homepage, spacerockethistory.com, and clicking on the orange donate button or the Patreon link. And now I can also accept Zelle and Venmo. Just use my email address, spacerockethistory@gmail.com. Thanks.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Godspeed, John Glenn.
Roger, 0G, and I feel fine.
I feel okay, I'm on.
How does it feel for the United States to be the new record holder?
At last, huh? When that baby lights, there's no doubt about it.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hello and welcome. This is Michael Annis, and you're listening to episode 249 of the Space Rocket History Podcast. And now, Apollo 12, Moonwalk 1, Part 3, Closeout. Continuing from the previous episode, Pete Conrad and Al Bean were entering the final phase of their first moonwalk. Up above, every 2 hours, a tiny, unblinking star appeared in the eastern sky above Intrepid. It ascended to its zenith, then vanished in the west. It was bright enough for Pete Conrad to see with the naked eye. The star was Yankee Clipper, carrying Dick Gordon on a 38-hour solo voyage around the moon. Before the mission, Gordon had wondered whether he would think of the Earth and feel his awesome separation from humanity. Instead, he savored his aloneness. But mostly, he was too busy to think about anything besides the flight plan. However, when there was a lull, his thoughts turned to his friends on the ocean of storms. Gordon envied Conrad and Bean more than he could say. On Apollo 11, Mike Collins said he was perfectly happy going 98.9% of the way. But that wasn't how Gordon felt. Walking on the moon, not orbiting it, was the name of the game. It was as simple as that. And it had been his goal from the day he joined the astronaut corps. Gordon rationalized his position, telling himself that down the line, on one of the later missions, he would get his chance. But when he watched Conrad and Bean climb into that lunar module and pull away, he wished he were going with them. His crewmates knew it as well. Conrad had said he wished the lunar module held 3 people so they could all land together. Of course, that was not going to happen. When Conrad steered the lunar lander to a pinpoint landing, Gordon was listening, and as the dust settled on the ocean of storms, he radioed congratulations and told his friends to have a ball. On the next orbit, when he flew over the landing site, he was ready to try to spot Intrepid on the surface. Unlike Mike Collins, Gordon knew exactly where to look, and he knew the navigation was so good that all he had to do was tell the computer to point the sextant right at the snowman. At the proper moment, the optics whirred into position, and there, just off the rim of the Surveyor crater, he saw a point of light with a needle-like shadow, and he knew he had found them. "I have Intrepid," he announced to Capcom Ed Gibson. And as he got closer, he could almost convince himself he could see details, like 4 landing legs sticking out from the descent stage. though he knew the sextant wasn't powerful enough for that. He was in the middle of reporting Intrepid's position when he spotted another point of light nearby. "I see surveyor! I see surveyor!" Gordon was jumping up and down, as if it was possible to do so in zero-G. If he could not make the first pinpoint lunar landing, then he had been the one to discover that it had been a success. He told Gibson that it was almost as good as being there. Of course, while Conrad and Bean took their moonwalk, Dick Gordon was there vicariously. Thanks to Mission Control's relay, he could listen to his friends as they bounced along. At one point, as the two moonwalkers wrestled with a bulky piece of gear, Gordon couldn't help but laugh at what he was hearing. Later, he would tell his crewmates how funny it was when they were struggling with the equipment. In the last hour of the first moonwalk, Gordon prepared for his most important task of the day, a burn of Yankee Clipper's SPS engine to adjust his orbit. To better understand the purpose of this burn, imagine yourself standing on a fixed platform in space. You would see that the moon slowly turns as it orbits at exactly the rate needed to keep the near side pointed at Earth. You would also notice that the orbit of Yankee Clipper stayed in a fixed orientation, with the result that each new circuit of the moon brought Dick Gordon slightly west of his previous position. If he did nothing, then over the 3.5 hours that Conrad and Bean were on the moon, Yankee Clipper's orbit would shift far enough from the landing site to ruin the prospects for tomorrow's rendezvous. This 14-second firing would nudge Yankee Clipper into the proper orbit. By now, Gordon was very tired. Of course, test pilots were used to performing while fatigued, but he did not want to make a mistake with the whole world watching. Now it was just him inside of Yankee Clipper, surrounded by a forest of switches and dials, doing a task that had been performed by 3 men on every previous lunar mission. As he prepared for the burn, he could hear Conrad and Bean going on excitedly about mounds and rocks, and the chatter was so incessant that it drowned out Mission Control, just when Ed Gibson was trying to read up crucial data on the burn. Gordon finally told Houston they needed to turn off the surface chatter while they were reading up data to him. He said it was impossible to hear with those guys yakking. Capcom Gibson finally had to tell Conrad and Bean to be quiet for a few minutes.
And Pete Nail, we'll be talking with Yankee Clipper, giving him a maneuver pad for about the next 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Very good. Let me see if I can chip some of that off, Pete, with this. It's my tool here. Yankee Clipper, you could work 6 or 7 hours here. Never bother you a bit.
We have the relay out and we're ready to give you the maneuver pad.
Try to knock a piece of that off.
No, you have it. I can still hear him.
Get the feeling that when that crater was made, it just threw out a big blob of dirt. This is where it landed. Yeah. Man, it ain't got the break. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised to find this is that micro break shot. You ain't got any took it real. Here, let me get a picture.
Pete Nail, Houston.
That'll be a good. Go ahead.
We're trying to get a maneuver pad up to Clipper, and he's having a hard time copying it with your talking in the background. Could we have some silence for about 5 minutes while we get that pad up?
5 minutes to get that pad.
Yep.
Okay, we'll be right back with you. Clipper, Houston, are you ready to copy?
Go, man.
Lunar orbit, plane change 1, SPS.
After Gordon received all the data, he decided to be very cautious and read his checklist over the air as he performed it, so that the flight controllers could check his work. Finally, the engine lit, and he was slammed into his couch for 14 seconds. Another successful burn. Back on the lunar surface, Conrad and Bean were in the latter stages of their first moonwalk, and a little unsure as to how much time they had left.
Hello, Houston?
Hal, Houston, go ahead.
Okay, how long are you going to let us stay out?
Pete, you'll be extended 30 minutes, so you're out for a total of 4 hours. And it looks as though we're going to have to close off pretty much with the nominal plan and stand by. We have some words on the traverse back.
Okay. We're standing over at the head crater. Why don't we start picking up some rocks, Pete, while we're waiting? Yep.
Most of the remaining moonwalk time was spent collecting rock samples, making surface observations such as the small mounds or hills, and taking pictures. But first, Houston sent them to the 1,000-foot crater, also known as the Middle Crescent Crater.
Pete and Al, 2 things we'd like you to do on the traverse on the way back. One is to get samples and some documentation of those mounds. And secondly, if you can, get over to the 1,000-foot crater, which is northwest of the LSEP, and get samples and documentation of that samples from there.
1,000-foot crater. Suppose that's where we are? Is that over there? You don't mean the head crater, do you? Let's get some of this mound, Dale. Okay.
Negative. Well, if you're a head crater now, we'll give you a radar vector. Stand by.
You've already got pictures of this thing. Yeah, at 15 feet. I'm just taking it close up. Okay, go get them up. Just look at this black rock here. Okay, wait. Let me get close. Wait. Uh-oh. That's that wood. I got it. I didn't get a picture of it. Okay. And that one? Yes. This? There you go.
Pete, the crater which we speak of is about 300 feet northwest of head crater.
Oh, I see it. You mean the great big one over here?
That's affirmative.
Okay. Yeah, we can go over there.
Before the astronauts could reach the 1,000-foot crater, Houston told Conrad and Bean they wanted them back at the lunar module to start closeout in 10 minutes. To which Conrad said, quote, "Holy Christmas, we're going to have to smoke there, Houston," end quote. Pete also commented about not getting many rocks going out that far. But when they made it to the crater, Pete could understand why Houston wanted it photographed. It was a spectacular monster crater.
Okay, Roger. We're almost over to the 1,000-foot crater.
Roger.
Got about another 200 feet to go. Hey, I got some neat ones right here. Okay. Looks like a secondary impact crater that occurred recently. Yeah, some of them do, don't they? Hey, dude, this looks like fresh. It doesn't have that old look like all the rest do. Come on, there's some of the glass on there. Bottom of there.
Roger, Pete and Al, we copy that. We show you're 3 hours and 7 minutes into the EVA. And we'd like you back to the LEM to start the closeout in 10 minutes. That's at 3 + 17.
Okay, holy Christmas, we're going to have to smoke there, Houston.
That's affirmative.
Yeah, we're almost to the crater. Okay, well, you're not getting very many rocks by going this far, but that's what you want. Run, baby. Hey, when we start picking them up, let's try to get a larger sample. Hey, look at this. Looks like a brilliant, spanking, fresh impact crater. Look at that. Little fella. Huh? Sure does, doesn't it? Yeah, let's get some rocks right here. Here's some. Hey, let me get some pictures first. Get some pictures of that crater, and I'll get some over there. I get this one right here. Okay. Wonder why these look so fresh. Must be just a difference in materials. Well, it sure does look fresh, though, doesn't it? Another rock for you. Okay. Listen, we need to find a great fruit, too, you know. Yeah, there's a bunch around. Hey, damn it, there's rocks. Whoops, wait a minute, I dropped it. Hold it, move on a little bit. Move on, move forward. Okay? Don't like hustling. Lousy job. Let's go. Okay? Get right to the edge of this crater and photograph it, get a pan in it, and we won't have to come back this way. Look at that. That crater is spectacular, isn't it? Oh, wow, monster. Look at that rock. I'd like to get some of this bedrock. Hey, well, we may want to go back there tomorrow, but we can't go any further. Then we get back in 10 minutes. Oh. Hey, there's bedrock right down here a little ways. Where? It's right down the hill. Hey, you're right. About 50 yards. Here I go. Hey, good show. You're right. But pan it first? Yeah, just a minute. I'm going to get in here. You got to go to intermediate cooling. Okay. And run just so far on men. Yeah, look at those. Don't they look like some looking into zero phase? Look at those. Yeah, fresh little jobber dudes. Now wait a minute. I want to go ahead and pan. And let me get to 74. 74. You got to have 2 F8, right? 50, and you're looking. That's it. You got to have 8 over there, and 11 right there, and 8 over there. One. At the smoke to get back to that limb. We're a long way. That's where we are. Take it, go straight. You got it. And just get some of this rock down here. Looks like just a minute. Okay, now let me go over here and give them a stereo of this baby. Okay? Let me just leap over here a ways. Houston, we're looking down at this big crater now, and it looks rather old. We're going to hit some bedrock bottom. I think you're right. Looks like there's some big boulders that are resting inside the rim, none on the rim like we see on a large crater that's further to the west about another 1,000 feet. But we don't see any outcroppings or rocks either that, that we can look down and say, well, from the top of the rim down to about 20 feet or something, then we come to the underlying rock. But there is this rock that's very large and spread around. We're going to try to collect some of the samples. Hey, I'm going to get that.
Roger, Al. We suggest you hustle. We show your 3 hours and 11 minutes, and we'd like you back there around 17. 6 more minutes.
We're picking up a couple right now. We're on the way back. Just a minute.
The astronauts found so many interesting rocks at the 1,000-foot crater they couldn't resist picking them up, even though Houston was trying their best to hurry them along. The astronauts just kept finding more samples. It got to the point where they had to run back to the lunar module, and they found more samples on the run.
Peter, drop it in my bag. Okay, you got anything else you want to put in your bag? Yeah, push another one over here. Okay, just a minute. A couple of big ones. Oh, I wish I could get that far. Try that. That's a good. Huh? Couple of nice ones right here. Wait a minute. That's it. There you go. Whoops. Okay. Wait a minute. Now let's just get this real good one. Yeah. Okay, we're giving you some of this rock. Hope it's information.
Roger, Pete and Al, we copy. We suggest you start smoking on back there. You're 313, and I'd like you back there in 4 minutes.
Okay, we're on our way. Let's go, Al. Hey, Pete? Yeah. Let me ask you something. What? That's interesting. What? I was looking at that rock up the hill there. Beat by distance here because there's nothing but all the same. Yeah, I got it. Must have been 1,200, 1,300 feet, huh? At least. You can travel a lot further than that. You know it? You can really make a long traverse. You got a good long-term OPS. What do you figure out my strides are? 10 feet? No, I'd say each foot only goes about, when you're running normal, I'd say you go about 3 or 4 feet, but you can just go indefinitely at this pace. Yeah. You don't get tired. See, you land flat-footed, then you just push off your toes. How'd you go? Listen, when I get this rock box, I get some more rocks. Run us all around, we didn't get any rocks. Let's get some up here. We'll fill it next time. Yeah, Houston, we're approaching the LSAP, headed back to the limb.
Roger, Pete, we copy.
Sure, I'm making this run all the way. Okay, yeah. You told me which way a little. Which way? Over towards your left? What do you want to do? Like there were a couple of good rocks over there. Where? Be about halfway. Why don't we grab a couple of rocks here? All right, here's one right here. Okay, let me get a photograph of it. Hurry. We're on the way. Coming. Okay, there's a good one. Here's another good one. Forget the picture. Okay? You're in the shadow. Step back just a little. I just forget the picture. Okay?
Pete and Al, we're picking up your heavy footprints going by the seismometer.
That's great. You see? Yeah. Let's get one last shot of this thing. You could, look, I got to get going on the rock box. Oh, okay. Let's go. Wait, hit you once more. Feel like Ebenezer Scrooge or something whistling across the plains. Boy, there's a lot of glass here. Okay, we're within about 300 feet of the limb now. Houston?
Roger, Pete, we copy.
Look out. Oh, there's just rock. Fall. Look at that. I've never saw one like that before. Look at that. That green? What is it? You see it? No, it was glinting at me. That's why I stopped. Heck with it. Put it in the rock bag. Let's go. Yes, sir. Let's go.
At this point, in their haste, Alan Bean fell down. This is how he described it. Quote, "When backing up to take a photograph, I tripped over a rock partially hidden in the dust and couldn't turn fast enough and fell backward. It was not a hard fall, but now turning over and pushing up would require some extra effort, and Pete and I were always trying to conserve as much energy as we could for later use. Both times Pete was not far away, so he moved over to help me up. The first time he extended his glove hand and I grabbed his in mine, and we both pulled. I came up a lot faster than either of us anticipated, and we bumped. We both had to move fast to keep from falling. We laughed and got back to work. The second time, Pete just extended his first finger, and I interlocked his with mine. This time, he pulled a little more gently, and this time, it was a perfect assist." End quote.
Wait a second. You hand? Good kill. Let's go. I hate to see is an LMP laying on the lunar surface. Hey, what's that glass? Look at that. Son of a gun. They gotta have that.
Finally, Conrad and Bean made it back to the lunar module and started the EVA-1 close-out procedure.
Hey, Houston, we're back at the lamp.
Roger, Al. Pete, we copy. After you get finished with the core tube, Al, we'll have some instructions for you with the TV.
Okay, Pete, columns for a moment. Their times are on the mesa. Okay. There they are. Now, which pans do you want me to take? Over here? No, front and over on the left and rear. 16, 12 each? Yeah, take 15. Okay, good.
As the closeout activities continued, Houston called again for Al and Pete to hustle and get to the ladder in 3 minutes.
Pete and Al, you're 3 + 2, 6 into the EVA. And Al, we'd like you to hustle. We'd like you back there at the bottom of the ladder in 3 minutes.
I'll hustle. Let me get your rock bag before you get away. Okay, get that rock back. I'll go get this cord too. I think I can make it in 3 minutes. All right, wait just a minute. Extend me 2 minutes. I go over and do their TV. Maybe they want to hear it too. Got that? Yeah. Got the bag? Yep. How'd he go? Let's go for crew 2. I go for crew 2, go over near the TV, and I come back by it. There you go. Now you're thinking.
Okay, Al. Good idea.
I sure wish we had more rocks. Yes? Say again? Wish we had more rocks.
Houston had still not given up on the TV camera, but ultimately all efforts to repair it failed. Before EVA-1, Moonwalk 1, could end, the astronauts needed to clean up their suits so all that dust wouldn't get inside of the lunar module. After that, Al Bean climbed the ladder and went in first.
Cool. Okay, let me check the S-band. Okay, and then we ought to dust each other off and get in. Man, we are filthy. We need a brush, a whisper. Okay, S-band antenna, lunar stain. I get in there and try that. Okay, all I got to do is get in as soon as we dust off.
Roger, Pete.
Okay, dust me off and I'll dust you and get in. I don't know what good you're going to do. Hey, it does dust off a little bit. Does it? Stand still. Okay. Yeah, I guess it does. Get some of that loose stuff. Kick your boots real hard, would you? Okay. Okay, now turn around this leg this way. Other way. I can crawl up the ladder halfway to get my upper. Yeah, crawl up the ladder, okay, knock it off. There you go. That's a good idea. Go ahead and do that. See anything else above me? No, just go ahead and start up the ladder. Okay? Is it? Oh, 12. There you go. You didn't quite make it. There you go. Stay put. See?
Al, would you give us a mark when you're on the footpad?
Let me check this. Wait a minute. Wait. Roger, I'm off the footpad right now. I'm standing on the ladder. Beach dusting the boots off. Trying to get some of the dust out of the limb.
Roger, Al, thanks.
Yeah, it's a bit dusty. Just hold still for a while. Let me check the wait a couple. Yeah, but let me brush. There. Now, you see the hatch? When you come up, take a good look at that hatch. Really going to have to be tender about it. I'm not sure we're not going to want to put some tape over it or something. Okay. All the way down. Raise your rear end. Attaboy. Got her. That's as far as I can go. I'll just do a push-up. Slide in some more. On in. Very good. I'm in the hatch, Houston.
Roger, Al. Copy, you're in.
Next, Pete and Al used a conveyor to transfer the rock box to the lunar module cabin.
Okay. Bring her on back. Okay. Wait. Don't let it get hang up. Coming. Let her go. No, wait a minute now. Just keep it taut. Okay. Hey, you can't do it that way, Al. Take it easy. Hey, do that slow. Attaboy. Now, ain't let go of it. We got one rock box coming up. Okay, Al. Easy does it. Wait a minute now. Does it? Easy. You're pulling when I don't want you to pull. Okay, now pull. 1, 2, pull. Oh, it's got it made. Okay, lift her up a little bit, Pete. And come forward. Maybe it's heavy. That's right in the door, though. Let me slide that in here. Okay. Okay, Houston. One rock box inside.
Roger, Pete. Copy. 1 SRC in.
Finally, it was Pete's turn to come inside the lunar module, thus ending Moonwalk 1.
Ready for me to come in, Al? I'm ready. It's up to them. I know what happened to Houston. I'm not sure that lunar stay didn't do it. I'd rather go back on track and get him back. Push.
Intrepid, Houston, stand by. And go ahead and press on the ingress.
All right. Houston, Mark, I'm on the footpad.
Mark.
That was easy. I just closed my feet water. You might want to do that too. Probably a good idea. Let me see if I can find it back here. Okay, I just closed mine. Okay. Coming up the ladder.
Gosh, you're shaking the whole mill.
Sorry about that.
You get a warning because you haven't got your treat water. It's got cooling for quite a while.
Yeah, understand. Okay, one garbage bag. Anything else there you want to get rid of?
Not a thing.
All right, hand me the LEC.
Okay, the LEC's got a kind of a little shut knot in it because got it?
Yeah.
Pete, on your way through the hatch, will you give a check on the seal?
Okay, Pete. Why don't you get over on your side, okay? Let me move over.
Okay.
I just checked your circuit breakers and they're all good.
All right.
Just a second, I'm not out of the way yet.
All right, but I want you to hold the door for a minute while I close this front.
Well, I've got to get out of the way.
Front thing here.
Now, wait a second, Pete. Let me back up a little better.
Okay, tell me which way to go.
Just a second. Okay, you're just perfect. Shoot right on in. Put your chest down in your rear end. There you go. Got it. Go a little bit to the left. Get a little further till your head bumps. Do a push-up and you're fat. A little bit to the left. A little bit further to the left. That's it. Up. Show. A little bit. Okay. You're in the best possible position. Just scoot in a little more. There you got it.
I'm in. No sweat.
Okay, now careful when you turn around. You tend to. Because, okay, boy, you look dirty.
No, you do too.
Hey, what's your turn around? I'll get this hatch. Okay, it says the speed water closed. We did that. Forward hatch, close and lock.
Yeah.
When you're out of the way, I'll slide over and lock.
Am I out of the way?
Gotcha.
Salutations from the foothills of North Carolina. This is Michael Annis, your host, and I wanted to say thanks for listening to episode number 249 of the Space Rocket History Podcast entitled Apollo 12 Moonwalk 1 Part 3. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a pleasure bringing it to you. I want to give a big shout out to all my longtime listeners. Thanks for staying subscribed and extend a warm welcome to my new listeners. I'm glad you're here. And in case you haven't noticed, I have added more episodes to the archive podcast. We're now up to 54 episodes. The first 54 available on iTunes, Google Play, and all your favorite podcatchers. Just look for Space Rocket History Archive. We'll try to get some more up next month with the goal of catching up with the main podcast feed. Today, we salute my Patreon donors. Patreon donors give a small amount monthly to support the podcast. Thank you, Patreon donors who honored your pledge this month. Have several afterthoughts about this week's episode. First of all, I wanted to remind everyone to get your Tang or other orange-colored beverage ready. Every 50 episodes, we have a little fun celebrating the accomplishment with the Tang ceremony. We will do this next week on episode 250, so get your Tang ready. I want to credit my sources for this episode: A Man on the Moon by Andrew Chaikin, Failure is Not an Option by Gene Kranz, Rocket Man by Nancy Conrad, the Apollo 12 Flight Journal, and the Apollo 12 Lunar Surface Journal, and Apollo, an Eyewitness Account by Alan Bean. Now, relating to the episode, I found a couple things kind of funny about this. First of all, when Capcom told Al and Pete that they needed to read up some data for Gordon in the command module and that he wasn't able to hear him, Al and Pete said, that's okay, but they just kept right on talking. And I guess they just couldn't get the hint that they needed to be quiet for a minute. Gordon up in the command module was getting kind of upset because he needed that data to do his burn. So finally, Capcom had to just plain out tell Pete and Al that they needed silence on the radio. And they're like, okay. That was kind of funny, I thought. And How about Houston giving Pete and Al 10 minutes to get to the 1,000-foot crater, take pictures, and get back to the lunar module? Then, of course, the astronauts find the most interesting rocks ever along the way when they're trying to be in a hurry. Oh, we got to stop and get that one. Look at that one. Oh, we got to get that one. So finally, they got in such a hurry that Al Bean falls down, and Pete helps him to his feet. Now, here's something interesting about that. To commemorate that fall and Pete's help, in 2008, Al Bean did a painting he called He Ain't Heavy, in which he shows himself on his back on the moon with Pete gripping his hand and pulling him up. If you're following me on Twitter and Facebook, you probably saw that picture because I did tweet it and post it this week. Now, I also have it on the homepage, spacerockethistory.com. So if you want to see that picture of Al's painting, it's really good. Check that out, along with the audio for this episode and a ton of other things on the homepage. I was very pleased to receive several new donations to support the podcast over the past week. Stuart D. from Florida donated at the Orion level and earned his moon emoji. Mark E. donated at the Mercury level. Chris D. donated at the Mercury level. Martin G. pledged on Patreon at the Apollo level. Peter Y. pledged on Patreon at the Apollo level. Matthew M. pledged on Patreon at the Apollo level. JT increased his pledge on Patreon to the Gemini level. Bruce L. pledged on Patreon at the Vostok level. And David M. pledged on Patreon at the Vostok level. That brings our total Patreons to 165, with a goal of reaching 218 for 2018. Now, the total donors so far this year have reached 226, with a goal of reaching 418 before the end of the year. For those of you who are enjoying the content provided here and have not yet donated in 2018, please consider supporting the podcast if you are financially able. Keep in mind, Space Rocket History is entirely listener-funded, and I depend upon your financial support to keep the podcast going. To support the podcast, go to the homepage, spacerockethistory.com, click on the orange Donate button or the Patreon link. All donors are rewarded with their names on the donors page at the level they choose to donate. For those of you who have already donated for 2018, I certainly appreciate it. Have another item to give away this week. It is the official Space Rocket History logo vinyl refrigerator magnet. It has the picture of the official SRH logo with the rockets, and it is magnificent. It's nice. It's pretty nice. I like it. I don't want to build too much hope for it, but it's pretty nice. To select the winners, Mrs. SRH gave each 2018 donor a number. Then she put the range in Google's random number generator and got the number for, and this one is very appropriate, Pete Conrad. Yes, you heard it correctly. Pete Conrad, not the astronaut. This is another Pete Conrad. But I thought that was really appropriate that he would be selected while we're doing Apollo 12. That's pretty cool. Okay, Pete, if you would email me, Mike at spacerockethistory.com, and tell me your address, I will mail this out to you. I was pleased to see the podcast receive 5 new 5-star ratings on iTunes over the past week, and I want to sincerely thank M. Delling for the very kind review and the 5-star rating, and also the 4 others who gave the all-important 5-star rating anonymously. If any of you are enjoying the archive podcast, I would appreciate it if you could give it a 5-star rating as well, as it only has 10 ratings over there. So it needs a little love, I think. So give it a 5-star if you can for the archive podcast. Thank you. Okay, that's all I have for this week. I hope to have the big episode 250 with the Tang ceremony posted by next Thursday. So long for now.